What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another one of my episodes of Market Markup. Today I'll be looking at AMD. This is a company that I've traded in the past. I've been, when I first was really getting heavy into the markets, AMD was trading at around somewhere between $10 to $13 per share. So it's grown quite a bit since since then. But anyway, been a while since I've really looked at AMD. It used to be something that I kept an eye on a regular basis, but it last year kind of got the boot from my watch list, so I don't really follow it much anymore. But before we get into that, welcome. If you are a first timer, if you're not, welcome back. If you have not done so already, please do myself and yourself the favor of subscribing. Hit that notification bell so that you'll get an alert whenever I put out a new video. Um, as always, I'm open to any suggestions, any questions, and any type of tickers that you guys would like to see me break down and offer an opinion. And in that opinion, it is strictly for educational entertainment purposes only, as I do this because I truly enjoy it. So it's just something fun for me to do. So this is definitely not any kind of investment advice, not any sort of recommendation for AMD. I do not hold any shares of AMD at this time, at the time of this recording. Don't have excuse me. I don't have any sort of positions at all. No options or anything in AMD. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Be sure to go back and check out my previous videos. I've been doing market markup for not very long, but long enough to have a few videos up. So I've done Costco, Netflix, WWE came in by request, and a few others I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, what I mainly do is teach people how to read charts. We apply that mostly in the stock market, but a lot of people that have learned with me in my high tech options workshops, they apply some of those methods to other asset classes, whether it be crypto, forex, etc., etc. So definitely something that translates or transcends or translates over into other asset classes. So you're not kind of boxed in to trading any one thing. So that's the good thing about technical analysis. So that's a huge focus of my offering right now. So if you're one that is looking to learn how to read charts, or just kind of get your act sharpened a little bit when it comes to charts, definitely hit me up. I partnered with By the Hood University and created an introductory class over there with Corey and Jimmy. So be sure to run over there and check them out. They have a dope podcast called By the Hood. Um, they basically highlight a lot of black people that are doing um, big things in our community, whether it be they're real estate investors, musicians, um, stock market investors, just all types of people that span the entire spectrum. So pretty cool. So uh, you'll get to become aware of a lot of movers and shakers in our community. So that's pretty dope what they're doing over there. So be sure to check them out. Also, one other announcement, I have my high tech options live seminar next month in Raleigh, North Carolina. Um, if you were interested in attending, let me know. Just leave me a comment or send me an email, Lance at bhcapitalenterprises.com, and I'll be happy to uh, have a discussion and, perhaps provide some accommodations if necessary. But anyway, let's jump on into AMD. As you guys know, when I do my charting, I start with a long-term perspective so that I can get some context on what's been going on historically with any particular ticker that I'm watching. As you can see, the markets are open right now, but usually I do it in the off hours, but the markets are closing in a few minutes, so it doesn't really matter that much. Plus, AMD is not, one of those companies that's going to move 10 points in a short period of time. So yeah, already here on the yearly chart, you can see where AMD has been just moving since 2015. So powerful move down from $1. So I mean, kudos and to those of you that were able to jump on AMD in the dollar range. That's dope. Like I said, I became aware of AMD when it was trading between like $10 and $13. So still, still great entry. Don't get me wrong. But for those of you that have been following AMD for even longer than that, and were able to catch it that low, that's good shit. But already I am noticing or taking note of some key levels here historically. So I will mark those, and I think I will do those. Um, I'll do like some dotted lines just to be able to distinguish between the different uh, key levels based on how they look. So as I look at each time frame, so already 2020 closing price, which was 91.71. So I would mark that level. As you can see, AMD historically struggles above that range, above pretty much above $90. It starts to struggle a bit. So bear with me as I like to make sure that my lines are perfect. But yeah, so I'm gonna make this like a little dotted line, and I'll just do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and name this one 2020 close. Um, I'll see what it always looks like. Okay. All right. So 2020 close. That's a level that I watch. I mean, it's pretty far off from there at this point. But that's definitely something I keep an eye on. Um, Even lower than that, this $30 level here on the yearly chart. I'd also watch this 45 to about 47. So I'll just do a line there as well. Okay, I'm trying to get all zeros here. There we go. Alright, so there we go. Markets are closed now. Boom. Okay, so a couple of levels that are, in my opinion, significant on the yearly chart. And these by no means they're not all of those levels, but they're the most relevant right now because that's the price action is pretty much trading between those levels. Um, so pretty much between the open and close of 2020 is the first two levels that I'd be watching on AMD on a long-term perspective. So not really seeing any patterns or anything like that at the moment, but we might get some consolidation here, some on AMD. As you can see, very strong markup here, which is, phase two of the market cycle. So typically after a strong move up, you get some consolidation before the price transitions into another phase, whether it be a markdown, which means the price would break down, or whether it, kind of just pauses and continues that upward move. So um, yeah, that's pretty much it for the yearly chart. Let's take a look at the monthly chart. All right, so um, okay, so March is when the price broke 2020 close. This is March of, oh, this is 2019. Okay, so March 2019. Um, am I looking at the right? No, no. I stand corrected. January of 2020. So January of last year was when the price first actually kind of had a successful breach of um, this $46 level. It kind of struggled here for a few months. And then in April of 2020, when the rest of the markets took off, AMD took off as well. So um, this is why it's important to take note of those key levels on your longer term basis, because you can develop a plan or a strategy around those levels, especially if the price is trading in those historical ranges. So just watching the monthly chart here, seeing that consolidation in the mid $40 range, one could say, hey, I'm gonna watch this range between about 47 and maybe about 44, something like that. And if the price moves outside of this range, I'm going to position myself accordingly. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see, excuse me, on the monthly chart here, um, same thing that I identified on the yearly chart. You got a strong bullish move up, and then the AMD has been pretty much range bound um, for the past several months. So um, usually I draw a box. I put a box on it to identify that range bound um, activity. So that's kind of where I put it. Um, and each person, people chart differently. There's no one right way to chart. So as long as you get the information that you need. So as you can see, AMD closed today, kind of down here in an area where bulls tend to step in and start buying and move that price back up inside this box. Not sure, what'll happen this time, but historically that's what has happened. So I would definitely uh, be watching this area here on AMD. Um, but one thing that I'm also seeing is this series of pretty much um, lower highs here on the monthly chart. So for me, this trend line here represents um, the more recent sentiment for AMD. And for me, the sentiment is unchanged, meaning that sentiment is, in my opinion, recently, and I mean over the last several months, uh, AMD has been relatively bearish and quite kind of unsure at the same time. And I mean unsure because it's been range bound. It's been just trading up and down in this relatively small box. So between about the low 70s to the low 90s is where AMD has been chilling. Um, so any move to the upside, outside of or above breaking this trend line here, um, is something that I may want to take notice of. So if I were considering, a leap in AMD, I probably wouldn't want to do it until I see a nice clean break to the upside of this trend line here. And of course, you know, if you wanted to, you could extend it down and, you know, play it that way. So so yeah, that's something that I will watch on AMD. Um, like I said, I don't have any sort of position on AMD at all. Um, I'm gonna when I get to some lower time frames, I think I'll do some calculations to see what some of the other key levels are. I do know that 88 happens to be one somewhere in the high 80s. Um, but you know, we'll see what these other time frames reveal. So right now, AMD, as far as the monthly chart is concerned, has entered into phase three of the market cycle. So meaning it's just consolidating, it's range bound, and it could there's no real I won't say there's no real way for me to predict how long it'll do this. But I will say that companies can consolidate for long periods of time. Boeing is a great example. If you ever get a chance to go look at the Boeing weekly chart, at least do like at least 5 years, and look at how long Boeing consolidated on that weekly chart before um, COVID hit and caused Boeing to finally break out of that range that it had been trading in. Netflix is another one. Look at the weekly chart. Netflix was consolidating for a long time, um, not as long as Boeing did, but several months Netflix was consolidating before that more recent breakdown. Anthem is another one. Anthem consolidated for like 2 years before it finally made its move up over 400 here recently. So yeah, just wanted to throw out some examples to illustrate my point of that that companies can consolidate for long periods of time. So it's not any sort of hard set rule that companies will consolidate for X amount of time. It's not out there. So yeah, that's what I'd be watching here on the monthly chart. Um, Obviously, like I said, this low 70s area, I would, matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and draw some support here. And me personally, I tend to think of support and resistance in terms of a range and not necessarily a specific number. So sometimes I may say a specific number, but usually it implies a plus or minus few points on the few points outside of that one number. So um, I don't mean like, oh, I call support on AMD at 73, but that also includes 50. No, it's more so like I call support at 73. That also includes probably from about 70 to 75. So just, you don't have to do it that way, but that's just kind of how I do it. But yeah, so right now what we're seeing is, excuse me, excuse me, allergy season. But yeah, right now what we're seeing is some selling pressure here uh, recently over the last few months here um, on AMD. However, this level here is holding up so far. So what I would be looking for during the month of May is whether this technical thesis holds up, where the price will stay in this low 70s range, or it'll hold in this low 70s range, and bulls will come in to buy it up. So we'll see. We'll see. So again, that's just something that I'll be watching as far as the monthly chart is concerned. Trying to see if I see any sort of patterns or anything, which I don't at the moment. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing anything real significant. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Okay, so weekly chart, you can get a better sense for that consolidation that I drew or mentioned, and I'm actually just gonna bring this out a little bit. Okay, so you can see where the price has been bouncing um, here at the low end of this range, and then it kind of struggles at the top end of this range, and I'll probably just put that on up there. Actually, a little bit down. I'd say about right there. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. So as you can see, every attempt to cross this trend line that I identified on the weekly chart has failed. And actually, I'm just going to name this one Sentiment Weekly. All right. Okay. Um, maybe I'll move it in just a little bit. Okay. All right. So, the most recent, what's that? The last week in April, the price tried to break this trend line here, but it failed miserably. Bears came in and bears just kind of took over. They've taken over the past 3 weeks or so. So again, watching this lower trend line here to see if it truly breaks this range um, and enters phase three of the market cycle. So pretty much a break below this low 70, so 70 to 173, 70 to 73. AMD may transition into um, phase three of the market cycle. And with that, I'd be watching on down to 69 maybe. And then you see there's an area here between about, I'd say 60s, between 60s and 50 to watch as well, where the price tends to get bought up from here. Um, so yeah, okay. So I'm going to draw a couple of trend lines here just to kind of okay. So I'm going to maybe I'll actually put a rectangle in here to kind of illustrate that this may be like an ideal uh, buy zone if I were to consider some leaps, for example. So this is just one hypothesis that, hey, AMD is going to break this lower trend line and then it's going to transition into a markdown and then it's going to come down into the $50 to $60 range, at which point, maybe it'll consolidate and eventually get bought up, and that's where I'd be looking to buy. Of course, not investment advice or anything like that, but just this green would represent my buy zone. I think I want that green to be a little lighter, a little bit lighter on the green, I think. Okay, yeah, because I could only see the red candlesticks. All right, so um, yeah, so this is a range that I'd be looking for. with a possible breakdown of this area here. Um, so, of course, with charting, it's a practice, like medicine. It's a practice. The more you do it, the better you get with it. Uh, but you're not always going to be right. You know what I'm saying? So you don't necessarily want to look from one angle. You want to consider as many possibilities as you can, and formulate an opinion based on those possibilities, and just watch the price action to see what hypothesis gets eliminated, and then you further narrow down to, okay, this is what is happening, and this is what I should do based on what is happening. So um, yeah, so that's pretty much it with this here weekly chart that I'm seeing. Um, Now, I'm not saying that AMD is going to move down below 60. I'm not saying that at all because I don't know. Um, but I'm just considering the possibility based on historical price action. So let's take a look at the daily chart. I think I'm going to do a year. All right, so daily chart again, you can see where that consolidation has been happening for a while. We can see some gaps here. So definitely would be watching this uh, 70 about 73 down to about 71, and then there's a small gap, another small gap between 64 and 61. So I'd be watching those as well. And I'm actually going to uh, I'm just going to do some price levels here, and then I'm just going to name them. Yeah, 64, 61, 64, 61. Boom. I want to show it on the right. Boom. Okay, so gap 64 to 61. And then I have another one. I actually like to do my gaps a little, not necessarily based on the wicks, almost, or not always based on the wicks, but generally, since I had already identified that 69 level, let's say gap 73, 69. And show it on the right. 2. Okay, so these are some levels on the daily chart that we've identified here to be watching shorter term. So as the price, if the price hits those levels, then I know exactly what's going on. So, but like I said, still here would be my ideal buy zone. So, am I seeing anything else on here? I'm just looking, making sure I haven't missed anything. So basically these gaps they can represent like little mini buy zones, so to speak. So the price could get bought up in this area. As I mentioned on the previous charts, it could keep falling and get bought up, before it even hits this buy zone. So um, yeah, or so I could either wait to see what happens, especially if I'm looking to go long, um, or I can, kind of short it on the way down if I'm really convicted about the possibility of the price moving down below 70 and possibly down below 60. So yeah, um, we'll see. It's just going to be a game of patience. You know what I'm saying? So um, I think that's all I have to say about AMD. And of course, I don't believe that I explored and exhausted every single possibility here. Someone else can pull up this same chart and see something completely different, see some things that I may have missed. But my point is to just mark up some charts and just kind of hypothesize for fun on what could possibly happen. So again, it's not any kind of investment advice or anything like that. But I did this one because a good brother over at Bro Capital, Ross Hassan, mentioned AMD, so I was just curious to go back and revisit AMD's technical um, history. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if you see anything. Let me know what you see. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the hypothesis that I put forward here. But thanks for watching again. Please like, subscribe, share, whatever you feel compelled to do. And I will catch you in the next episode of Market Markup.